Hello friends, this is Deepak Gupta from Sourcing Hardware. In the entire Indian ceramic industry, there's one company that stands out for its legacy and boldness. I'm talking about Orient Bell Limited. When it was set up in 1977, the company was called Orient Ceramics Limited. It was set up by technocrat Mahendra Daga, who at that time, a good 43 years ago, was considered the most experienced ceramic professional in the country. So that's where the legacy is coming from. And the boldness we got to see when in 2010, the company acquired its competitor Bell Ceramics, itself a very strong operator in the southern and western markets. And to talk more about Orient Bell Limited as the company got rechristened after the acquisition, I have with me its CEO Aditya Gupta, who is himself a professional, but not from the ceramic industry. In fact, he's got loads of experience, more than a decade's experience in the beverages and specifically liquor industry, and a similar sort of experience in the telecommunications industry. So let's hear more from the CEO himself. And it's my pleasure to welcome Aditya. Hello, Aditya. Welcome to Conversations with Deepak.
Hi, Deepak. Very good afternoon to you and good afternoon to all the viewers. Great to be here with you. This lovely afternoon.
Yes, it's a lovely afternoon, and thankfully we've got some rains in Delhi.
Yes.
Which are making things a bit easier for Delhiites at least.
Yeah, these are gloomy times, and whatever good news comes, it should be something we should be very grateful for.
So how are you keeping yourself busy during lockdown? How are you keeping yourself fit?
So Deepak, lockdown has been a very different experience than what one would have envisaged at all. And I think every day is a new day. Every day is bringing a very unique set of challenges. And the way of resolving those challenges are very different than what they were pre-lockdown. So it's been a tremendous learning experience, I would say personally, and also for the organization. We had started implementing rosters early in the month of March itself.
Right.
Working from home had started in March itself. And I think over the last now almost 3 months, the way the organization has responded to working from home is something I could not have imagined 3 months back.
Very true.
It's great. On the personal side, I think work from home is a lot more difficult than working from office.
You said it.
Because you end up not having any time boundaries. And I'm an early riser, so you get up early, you start on your WhatsApp, you start replying to mails, and it basically continues 16 hours a day. So interesting.
So it struck me that working from home, we are working more for less in the hope that we'll work less for more.
So when you say for less means what? In terms of monetary benefits or in terms of output?
Well, definitely some monetary benefits, that's for sure.
So I think maybe right, but I wouldn't say that working from home or from office has got anything to do with it. It's more about what the environment is, and in the short term, you have to adopt yourself to the environment. You can't do much.
Very true.
So that is there, but also the good thing is that a lot of new learnings personally and for the organization. I think people have changed quite a lot in the last 3 months. People have realized things about themselves which they were unaware of 100 days back. So overall, we'll come out stronger and better through this pandemic.
So if we were to talk about the tile industry, particularly the ceramic tile industry,
Mm-hmm.
so how is the industry doing? Uh, Not with respect to COVID, but
Mm-hmm.
on the whole, in the past couple of years, and as of today, how is the industry doing? How is it shaping up?
So Deepak, see, the industry basically feeds into the building and construction industry, both residential and office and commercial space demand. And also the Indian industry, ceramic industry, is a very big exporter. So on the export side, the industry over the last 4 5 years has done extremely well. The number of new markets which have opened up for Indian exports has been humongous. So that has been a very good story. And Indian manufacturers have displaced a lot of other more established players in the ceramic industry in export markets. Coming to the domestic market, which we are talking about, because the building and construction industry has not been doing too well over the last 4 5 years, the growth of ceramic in India has also not been very high. So that is there is a lot of competition, large number of manufacturers, a lot of price-based competition. So it has been a tough time for the last few years.
So you think there is a overcapacity at the moment? What's the capacity and what's the size of the industry?
So the industry estimates are between 25 to 30,000 crores per annum, and there are more than 700 manufacturing units there. The organized industry, the listed players, have about 30% of the revenue market share of the industry. The 70% of the revenues are catered for by small unlisted players. So to that extent, it's quite fragmented industry. Unlike the other players in building and construction like paints or cement.
So is the organized sector, and particularly the listed, the club of listed manufacturers, are they facing a pressure on prices because of the small players?
Oh yes, pricing has been one of the most talked about elements of the marketing mix in the industry historically, and there is a continuous price pressure.
So with the implementation of GST and now the e-way bill mechanism, and also the likely impact of COVID on the small industry, do you think there will be an ease in pricing pressure?
So Deepak, I wouldn't want to hazard a guess there because in the past many such forecasts have kind of gone awry. What I would say is more than trying to predict where the prices would go. That's a function of market dynamics. We are at Orient Bell are more focused on ensuring that we have the wherewithal to fight the competition. So in terms of our cost base, in terms of our our selling capabilities, in terms of our distribution, these are the areas that we can actually implement and we can actually differentiate ourselves on. And that's where our focus is.
Okay.
We are not a price leader in any category, but we also closely monitor the pricing of our competitors and try to follow close by with other competitors.
Do you think in the near future, once things stabilize and the markets open up, you would be able to derive a price hike in some of the categories?
No, I don't see that happening in the near future.
Okay. Recently, the GCC countries have imposed anti-dumping levies on Indian exports.
Correct.
And as we know, Indian supplies were accounting for nearly 40% of the supplies going into GCC, particularly in the lower price segment. So with those supplies likely to become more expensive, do you think there will be a diversion of that capacity into Indian market and subsequently another price pressure?
So Deepak, you are very well informed about the industry, I must say. The implementation of this GCC directive has started from the month of June. And the way it is done is that each country is implementing at a different pace. So Saudi Arabia, for example, implemented in the beginning of June. And other countries, some of the countries are yet to follow suit. So I guess it will take 1 or 2 months for this to get implemented across all the GCC countries. So that's one. So there is maybe another 60 days of window which is available to exporters. Having said that, this judgment had come many months back. So the industries, especially the companies which are heavy on export, have had time to develop alternate markets. And with supplies from other competitors, other countries, kind of also in a bit of a mess because of COVID. They have been able to open up newer markets in Europe and US and all. So we'll see. I think there will definitely be an impact, but how much that impact would be, we have to see.
Okay. Okay.
So more than the GCC impact, I am more keenly watching the effect of demand in India. Whether demand actually, how fast demand actually resurfaces is the most critical question.
So what's your expectation there?
It has started, but it is patchy because you're seeing the daily spurt on number of cases. And some places are doing better, some places, especially the bigger cities, are doing much worse in terms of coronavirus.
Right.
So we expect that the revival also will be very patchy, and a lot depends on what view the various state governments take, what kind of policies they adopt in terms of stoppage of construction activities or lockdowns and stuff like that. So too many uncertainties to really make any forecast for the short term. But I think medium to long term, I'm optimistic.
Do you think the government will be a good friend to the industry, one by implementing some price correction in the gas supplies, which are your major cost input, and also being a volume buyer?
So, see, almost a third of the cost of our tile is power and fuel. And these have been kept out of GST. So we don't get input credit for the taxes that we pay on this. This has been a long-standing demand of the industry. Let's hope something happens there. So that would be a very big help. On the other thing, I think rather than directly doing something for the tile, the ceramics industry, if the government works on reviving the building and construction industry, as you know, building and construction is the second largest employer in the country after agriculture. And it employs a very large number of people in the lower strata. So to that extent, it is running the households of millions and millions of people at the lowest of economic strata. So if the building and construction industry revives, then I think the ceramic industry will automatically catch up speed.
In this situation, when the times are difficult, can we expect more bold steps from you, or from anybody, towards consolidation?
Okay. So consolidation, I wouldn't know, because so I don't talk about consolidation per se in terms of mergers and acquisitions. So I don't want to go into that space. But my sense is that the industry will change. I firmly believe, if you see the tile industry over the last 10 years, we see that the product has evolved handsomely over the last 10 years. So the size of the tile which we are making has kind of increased by 10 times, 15 times. We are making 8 feet by 4 feet sizes, And there was a time 10 years back or 15 years back by where 8-inch and by 4-inch tiles were also considered to be large.
Right.
So the product innovation piece has been extremely rapid. We are at par with the world. The kind of surfaces which we are manufacturing has been absolutely world class in terms of the kind of finishes, matte finish, glossy finishes, super glossy finishes, metallic finishes. There has been a whole set of development on the product development piece.
Okay.
What has not kept pace, I personally believe, is how tiles are marketed, how tiles are sold in our industry. And the bold steps that you're talking of, we would like to, we are looking at actually in the middle of various initiatives which would help change this part of the buyer's experience, which is the way we sell and market tiles. So a lot of bold steps here. Also because as you mentioned in your starting comments, I am not a tile expert who has 20 years of experience in the industry. My experience and my upbringing has been in two very different industries. One was alcoholic beverages, then was telecom. My leadership team also comes in from a very diverse experience, industry experience. So what we are trying to do is bring in a lot of knowledge, best practices from across the country, across industries, and bringing it to bear on the tile industry, the challenges the tile industry faces, and come up with new solutions. So if Volumes is new solutions, then definitely you will see a lot of them from Oriental.
Well, I see you bringing in your branding experience from liquor and your retail and distribution from telecommunication. Both are, pillars of the tile industry and sanitary ware and the bathroom fittings industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would add another thing. Another element here is functionality. Because tiles are not something which you buy every day or every year. So when you make that purchase, as a consumer, it is very important for you to be very, very sure that the functionality of the tile that you are buying is something which will serve you for the next 5 years, 15 years.
Absolutely. So talking about consumers, do you think that consumer behavior, consumer thinking is going to change in this post-COVID era with respect to, say, preference for brands or buying online or some other way of thinking and buying and consuming?
So dramatically, I'll share an anecdote with you. One of my team members closed in Gujarat last month, closed a particular order where the discussion happened. The buyer was on the second floor balcony. My salesman was on the ground floor, and that was the social distancing that they were practicing. And discussions were being shouted across from ground floor to the second floor. And designs were being sent by WhatsApp. We have some very, very good visualization tools, which are first of in the industry, where we can actually show a user how a particular tile will look in her room. So the sales guy was actually making these designs on the ground floor, 30 seconds to 60 seconds, WhatsApping it to this guy who would look at it, say, nahi, ye nahi hai, thoda isko aisa change karo, waisa change karo, shouting down his instruction. And over a period of about, I think, 30-35 minutes, the whole order was closed. We see a big change in consumer buying behavior. And some of these changes are that consumers are going online more and more often. While the tile industry in revenue terms is a fraction of the paints industry, but in terms of the online searches every month of tiles, the number is almost 60% of that of paints, while paints is a much, much bigger industry.
Okay.
So we see our consumers being a lot more digital savvy, our consumers going to online mediums, social media, search, to find out about tiles and make their decisions.
So online behavior could be of two ways. One is the selection or the search or the visualization part, seeing how it will look. Second is the actual purchase. So you said that visualization is already happening and you are also helping your customers visualize digitally.
Yes.
What about the actual purchase? Do you think customers will start buying online product categories like tiles and bathroom fittings?
So, the bigger challenge in purchase on online, Deepak, is the weight of this item. So, if you are buying for your house and all, you typically, the weight of that consignment would work out in a few tons. So, you can't have your normal e-commerce distribution system, supply chain to actually handle that. The logistics of delivering tiles to your home has to be very different. So that is one challenge. But you're right. See, visualization is one thing where I would say that Orient Bell is way ahead of other of its competitors. We are enabling, whether you are an architect or you are an individual consumer, retail consumer, or you are a project manager working with a builder. We have tools which help you visualize not one but multiple designs online at the touch on your mobile phone. So that is a journey which we have already undertaken. The second thing which we are chasing now, which we are seeing now with under lockdown, is the purchase decision making. The decision making on purchase is now becoming more and more automated. We have an initiative. We have branded a tile card, where every month we are getting a humongous number of leads from consumers who are actually reaching out to us online and sharing with us their demand. And then these leads are being directed to our channel partners, and these customers are being serviced then through our channel partners. So I see a mix of online and offline media working in the purchase, actual purchase and delivery of goods to the final consumer. And I see this happening more and more with every passing quarter.
But delivery in any case is being done even by the retailer. The goods are being shipped to the consumer's site or place of residence.
Yes.
So the delivery cost in any case is being borne by the customer in some way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the actual closing of this deal that needs to be seen. Ki are customers able to close the deal online? If they have been able to choose the product, then can the price be determined and the deal be closed?
Okay, so see, yes, it is happening, but it is a mix of an online and an offline listing. So let's go back to what the earlier buying behavior of a consumer was. And I'm talking about a retail consumer. So she would go to multiple showrooms of different companies, physically go to those showrooms. She'll be shown around and she would shortlist some designs that she likes. She would get into a price negotiation, and then final decision is made and the tiles are transported back to her house. That was the earlier decision making. Now what we are seeing is that consumers do not want to visit multiple showrooms. So consumers are making 60%, 70% of their decision online. And then the last 20, 30% where before they hand down the money, they want to actually physically see the tile. Because as I said, this is a product which they can't change. They don't like it. Once it's installed, they have to live with it for the next 5 years.
Right.
So then they go to that one showroom where they have liked the designs, physically see the tile, maybe have a face-to-face negotiation with the channel partner, and get it shipped. So a large part of the decision making is now shifting online.
In this way.
When I'm saying online, I'm also including WhatsApp and other social media in that term.
What about platforms like LiveSpace or HomeLane, or now the new ones like Arrive or Design Cafe?
So we are working with some of these. Uh, we are because as we're trying to like become preferred tile suppliers to some of these, and these are also actually working in the similar space that we want to attack, because these companies are doing basically telling the consumer that we will take the hassle away from you, and we will create designs. We will ensure that the whole building and construction process is managed. We will not only create designs but help you in execution also. So we see these people as like-minded collaborators, which we are trying to work with.
Because there seems to be a growing number of such digitally technology-based turnkey contractors.
Absolutely, yes.
And every year we come across more and more investments going into this sector. And there's a possibility that this might become a kind of a benchmark for other contractors to measure themselves, because they provide the facility of distance viewing of the project,
Yes.
commitments on completion. Not just that, even they are standing warranty and guarantee to the products that they have.
Quality is something which they underwrite.
So which was quite unheard of earlier.
So interesting that you brought this up. Many years back, I think almost a decade back, Onion Bell had started a company called eTile. eTile,
okay,
which was trying to actually do an end-to-end tiling solution for the homeowner. So it is exactly what you're talking about. So it will assist the homeowner to select tiles of her choice. And the company had contractors, the backend and all. They would then go in and actually do the tiling and everything. Exactly the same way that you see in the paint industry, where the company actually takes care of your home painting and stuff like that. So the company had started something like this 10 years back, but I think the market was not ready for it. It was too early.
Possibly. So talking about your retail operations, what kind of retail formats have you created? Because there are, we see lots of like shop in shops, and we have, dealers, authorized dealers, and then company showrooms, franchisees. What's happening at Orient?
So we have, basically the nature of the product is that moving it around and distributing it and redistributing it does not work. So this is a product which does not go through multiple distribution levels. Typically, you have a direct channel partner whom the company supplies to, and in the bulk of cases, he actually sells the stock through his own showroom and linkages, trade linkages. So we have, in terms of formats, we have a company-owned franchises in major cities. We cover 9 cities with our company-owned franchises, the COCOs. These are cities like Delhi and Chandigarh, Lucknow, Chennai, Kolkata. We also have our franchisee display showroom, which we call the Orient Bell boutiques, or tile boutiques, OBTBs. And we have 150 plus of these across the country in different cities. So these are the 2 formats where we are actually displaying our products to our consumer.
So what innovations are happening here to enhance customer experience?
Okay, so
and also to help improve the ROI of the channel partners.
So let me talk about the channel partners piece. So what we are doing here is one is the visualization tool which I spoke to you about. So I'll tell you what the problem is. The company manufactures 5,000 different designs across different tile sizes. No channel partner can keep all 5,000 in his godown.
Right.
So the channel partner will maybe have 200-300 of these maximum available in his godown.
Hmm.
The godown is outside the city, always. The showroom is in the city. So from the godown to the showroom has limited space. So out of the 200 designs which the channel partner is carrying, maybe he is able to display only 100.
Hmm.
So look at the drop from 5,000 which the company is making to actually 100 designs which the consumer can look and see, touch and feel. Balance everything, he has to go through the catalog. So we have a visualization tool where on his laptop, on his mobile, the channel partner can pull in any of our designs, the company designs 5,000 designs, can with a few clicks create a room for the customer out of any of my 5,000 tiles, show it to the consumer instantaneously, WhatsApp to the consumer instantaneously, make her choose, give her 20 designs and make her choose, okay, this is how it will look, this is how it will look, this is how it will look, you make a choice. We deployed this tool about 1.5 years back. And we are seeing a huge adoption by channel partners of this tool. Our channel partners have invested in LEDs, large format TVs in their showrooms, where they actually show it to the consumer, and the conversion rates for orders has increased dramatically.
Okay.
And the channel partner benefit also is that they have to hold less inventory. So very often the channel partner tells him, okay, fine, you like this, great. You will have get the stock 3 days later. But it is currently not available in my godown, I'll get it from the company. Previously, the channel partner was constrained to only show the designs which he had available with him in his shop.
Hmm.
And out of those designs, the consumer might not like some designs. He walks off and that was lost. So that is one thing which has happened. Another great innovation which we have done is in what we call Multiplica. Just to give you an example. In your bathroom, typically 4 different kinds of tiles are used. Floor is one type, and then people make bathrooms with a combination, walls with a combination of light color, dark color, and some highlighter tiles. So to make a bathroom, you need for 100 feet bathroom, you need 4 different tiles, which the channel partner has to stock. They come as a concept.
Right.
Now, very often, one of those 4 tiles will get out of stock because somebody will buy 20 boxes of A, 10 of B, 10 of C, 10 of D. The other guy will buy a very different ratio. Go out of stock. The balanced tiles become useless for the channel partner. So what we have done is we have created a series where the dark and the light tiles and the highlighter tiles can be interchanged to create concepts. And all of them look fantastic. So even if a channel partner is out of one particular tile, he is now using the other inventory which he has and is able to satisfy the customer and complete a sale. So that's another great innovation we have, which is very useful for a channel partner. There are a lot of other tools which our channel partner have been equipped with, digital tools which have helped them enhance their reach. Tools which help them in terms of getting real-time information about our products, about our stock levels, about the dispatch of their consignments, about their outstandings, credit notes, and stuff like that.
Okay. Have you also explored the augmented reality tools, which allow customers to visualize their existing bathrooms with your product?
Yes, we have, and we had even equipped our Coco stores, which are the company's own stores, with augmented reality viewing sets, and people could actually go there and see how the tiles would look. But what we found was that it was not adopted so well by our consumers. Because the hardware, you have to buy, Oculus headset or whatever for that.
Would that not be the virtual reality, VR?
Virtual reality, augmented reality are kind of the same this thing. So
Actually,
we have moved away from that and kind of now started pushing these visualization tools, which can be run on your mobile phone. Because
yes,
the mobile phone is the ubiquitous device which
yes,
anybody
yes,
and
yes,
everybody
yes.
has. And so that's why all our solutions are now mobile first solutions.
Mm-hmm. Where I think I've seen some where you just point the mobile phone towards an interior space and then you drag in the product that you want to implement, and immediately the scene changes on the phone screen itself.
So we want to get there. We are not there yet. We want to get there, but that is definitely the destination we are aiming for.
Uh, how easy or difficult is it to select and appoint dealers in the building material space?
I think it's a super critical activity. Uh, the way the business has evolved, the channel partners, nobody knows that particular territory as well as the channel partner does. And over the years, channel partners have developed their linkages, whether it is with masons, whether it is with architect, interior designers, contractors, the whole gamut of tile users. They have invested in creating showrooms which attract a lot of walk-in. So I think the choice of channel, and we also sell on credit.
Yes.
We sell on credit. So I think the choice of channel partners is extremely critical. A good channel partner can make a company in that particular territory. A bad channel partner can set you back like this.
It's a huge opportunity cost there.
It's a huge, absolutely huge opportunity cost, and this is something which we take a lot of time and effort to try to get this right.
So what would you consider opening up a new market, a new locality? What would be your considerations?
So our considerations would be a channel partner. We study the channel partner in terms of the linkages and the which the channel partner already has in that market. I spoke to you about masons, contractors, architects, interior designers. So whether the channel partner is well integrated into that ecosystem or not, that's one. The second thing is in terms of display. As I said, even now, the purchase behavior is an online, offline composite journey for the customer. So we look for channel partners who have display areas so that our tiles can be displayed. That is the number two. And then there are commercial terms in terms of the creditworthiness of the channel partner, the financial capabilities about that analysis gets done.
Many of the large companies, the tile companies and bathroom fitting companies, have got huge networks running into thousands and thousands of retail points or touch points or dealer numbers or what have you. So is this, and surely everyone, including you, would be aspiring for a very widespread network, because that's how the volumes will come in. Is a big network a function of the brand pull or the hard selling from the company side?
I think Deepak, it is both of these, but there are other factors beyond these two. So how long has the company been working on that direction? That's extremely important. Brand pull, yes. Hard push, yes. So all these factors are kind of coming. Historically, where the company has its manufacturing plant, so typically you tend to have a stronger distribution network in proximity to your manufacturing plants. So all that is there. But having said that, one of the things which we are working on is how do I liberate my channel partner from the confines of space and geography. So what I mean by that is, I'll give you a anecdotal example. One of my biggest channel partners in Dehradun, I was speaking to him, and he tells me how with our visualization tool, he is now able to service contractors and interior designers sitting as far away as in Delhi. Because earlier it used to be a problem for him to get samples of tiles delivered and stuff like that. Today, he has a call with them, understands what the requirement is. On my visualization tool, Oriental visualization tool, the channel partner makes 10 different designs and sends it to him. Okay, these are my 10 designs. What do you think about it? Has a discussion, closes a design, and is able to close sales. So, in many ways, the channel partner who was say restricted to Dehradun only to be able to sell is now able to sell 200, 300 kilometers away also. And I think this is more and more going to be the future of the tile industry.
So that means we'll see the evaporation of the so-called territories.
Very, very slow evaporation maybe. But I think a large part in the next 10, 15 years, a large part of the business will still continue to come from a geographic catchment area. But I dare say the more profitable part of your business, people who are more design conscious, people who want a particular design, who are very, very, what I should say, demanding customers and willing to pay an extra price for that, that part of the clientele will move more to digital. So your profitability, your volumes will still continue to come from your catchment area over the next 10 years, 5 years. But your profitability will more and more come from the other part.
So that means the channel partners will have to move out of their own comfort zones and be more innovative.
Oh, yes, I think they are. They are. You would be surprised, Deepak. In the last 2.5 months, we have had 50 to 100 channel partners logging on at one time for each of our sessions on our visualization tools and website. Now, typically, channel partners don't have time. They're so busy with their day-to-day activities and all. Seldom are they able to find time. But over the last 100 days, we have seen requests coming in from our channel partners that they want more of this, more of that, and very enthusiastic participation from our channel partners. So they are changing very fast because see, they are sitting there in the marketplace. They have also seen how e-commerce has grown over the last 5 years, with what speed it has grown. Not in the industry that they are in, but they've seen it in the market. So they are extremely open to new ideas.
So what are the challenges that you are facing at Orient Bell particularly in terms of growth, in terms of revenues, profitability? What are the main challenges and what is being done to address them? So if I were to ask you to list out your top 3 challenges.
So I think, Deepak, the immediate challenge today is managing the pandemic. Managing the COVID, the coronavirus situation. So that is the immediate and the biggest challenge, because if not managed properly, it can have disastrous consequences for the company. It's seldom that any business person has seen an issue both on the demand and the supply side simultaneously.
Right.
So I think that is the biggest challenge we have today, and we have 3 or 4 things that we are doing. One is safety. Safety first at all costs. That's a top priority for our employees, for our channel partners. So there's a host of initiatives that we have taken in that area. On the second hand, what I call managing the now, the today. managing our cash flow is extremely important. Managing team morale is critical because employees are not in a good space mentally. There are issues about at home, uncertainty, um, bad news all over the place about companies sacking people, financial problems, kids' education, all kind of things. So managing all of that is the immediate challenge. On a more long-term perspective, I think the challenges are how does Orient Bell take on very established competitors? How does Orient Bell create tools uh, which will help us leapfrog and change the buying behavior for each and every segment, whether it is the builder segment, whether it is the retail consumer segment, or it is the professional architect, interior designer. So to understand their buying behavior, to be able to come out with digital tools which takes away the friction points in their purchase is, I would say, the biggest challenge. And imagining that is one part of it. Deploying it and getting your team and your channel partners, your stakeholders to adopt these tools. That whole challenge around change management is the big one. So that's what we are trying to focus
on. You are today in a very typical situation where you are confronted with the largest players on one side. Some of them are rapidly eating away market share with their rapid growth. And also on the other side, you have latecomers who are creeping up on
you. Yes.
So you are in a double pincer, so to say. So what strategies are you planning, devising to come out of this situation?
So there are, so one thing which our strategy is basically we believe that there is going to be a big change in the way people buy and sell tiles, and that is where we see an opportunity for Orient Bell. As I said earlier, technologically the industry has moved forward, but in the sales and marketing they haven't moved forward so much. Actually, in most tile companies, sales and marketing are interchangeable ones. So one of the first initiatives that I took was to create two separate departments, sales and marketing, headed by experts who are experts in sales and distribution and marketing separately. And not many tile companies have actually done that. So that is one big part of our strategy.
And they're also from outside the industry?
Oh yes, they are.
Okay. Yeah. What's the importance of being from outside industry?
No, it's not about no importance per se, but I think the kind of people that one recruits has to come out of your strategy. So if your strategy is that you have to create change, you have to transform the way tiles are bought and sold in this country, then you have to bring in people who can visualize that and then actually make it happen. There is no fun in bringing in people who are very good at doing it the way it has always been done. Because they are very good at it, but they will continue doing that same thing. So also I believe that the kind of skill sets that we are looking for example, digital skill set is very important. If you are talking about marketing, you know how advertising on social media is now much more than on television. You know the viewership on Hotstar or Netflix, how it is far in excess of all TV channels,
Right.
So, somebody with a digital skill set is extremely important for marketing. Now that is something which you would get from companies which have been investing in digital for the last 10 years.
Right.
Not necessarily the building and construction industries.
Yes,
so
it could be anywhere.
We have a very good mix of people coming in from building and construction industries, people coming in from tile industry and people coming in from outside of building and construction also.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that getting a diversity of experience into the organization definitely helps.
So what's going to change in the way you market and communicate with the customer?
We want to talk to the customer about solutions. We want to talk to the customer about the pain points that she is facing, and systematically remove each and every of those pain points.
For
And
instance, pain
so,
points as
pain points in selection of tiles, pain points in terms of what is the best tile, what kind of tile should I go in for my bathroom, what kind of a tile should I go in for my washroom or my drawing room. For example, germ-free tiles is a big category. So we have a set of tiles where, because of special coating that we do, they kill all the germs, 99% of the germs which come in contact with the tile over a 24-hour period. So this is a solution which in today's time the consumer would love. So we have extended
absolutely.
We have extended that range, and we are now mounting a marketing program to educate the customer about this. Being a low involvement category, our consumers are not very aware of different kinds of tiles and different solutions which are available. And when they actually go into the market, they often don't get the complete information or the complete knowledge. So that is one area we want to change.
You see, since retailer continues to be the major influencer in the building materials industry, building materials trade, the only way to break out of a logjam is to go beyond the retailer, beyond the channel partner, and speak to the customer directly, or at least try to do that. Because through these levels, a lot of communication gets lost for various reasons. Ability to articulate the company's thought, other interests, competitive interests, social considerations of that pocket, language issues. There are so many things. So as a marketer, I think you would be thinking of reaching out to the customer directly.
So Deepak, you are absolutely right, but I think it has to be a push and a pull strategy both. So I think as a company, we are focusing on our channel partners also, our dealers also, talking to them about the same benefits, involving them in our campaigns, involving them in our tools, so that they become the brand ambassadors for Orientbel in the market. It's extreme. You're very right that they play a very important role in the buying behavior. They are key decision influencers. So getting them on our side, telling them why, educating them on what they should recommend and why they should recommend that particular kind of tile is extremely important. So we are focusing on that. I think a strategy which only talks about one of the two constituents, channel partner only or end consumer only, is not going to be very successful. To be successful, we have to talk to both of them. We have to give the same message to both of them. We have to make it worth the while for the channel partner to communicate that message to the consumer, and we have to work on building up the consumer awareness also simultaneously.
Do you think there's a case for training the channel partner as some kind of an interior designer?
Oh, many of them are experts at it. I have about so my channel partners have created on my visualization tool over the last 15 months more than 100,000 designs.
Okay.
So they are in their own rights. Some of them are extremely creative. We regularly reach out to them, take their ideas and opinions in terms of new product design and everything. What they were lacking, I think, is tools to kind of take their creativity to beyond their showrooms. That is something which we are not providing.
Okay. are there plans to establish other product categories, other verticals like sanitary ware or bathroom fittings? What seems to be the done thing in the industry?
So Deepak, actually, if you see Oriental, study Oriental, then we have stayed away from the fads of the industry, if I may say so. We are, I guess, the only sizable company which advertises, which does not go in for a celebrity endorsement. Every single player in the sanitary ware ceramic industry has a Bollywood personality as a brand endorser. So, to answer your question directly, we do not have any plans to move into sanitary ware in the immediate step. We want to focus on tiles and build up our revenues and our capabilities there. And then let's see how things shape up over the next 3 to 5 years.
It is said that it's not companies that compete, individuals that compete, it's the teams that lead to success.
Mm-hmm.
So over here, how are you ensuring that your teams have got fulfilling careers, team members, and that Orient Bell is a good place to work?
So let me tell you about the some of the outcomes first, rather than telling you about the initiatives, because I think when I share the outcomes with you, it will anchor the success that we have got on this field. Our attrition rate is now about half of what it used to be 1.5 years back. So something which we are doing with our employees is definitely resonating. That's one. We are now promoting people more and more internally. When I came in here 2 years back and I went through personal files of my key sales team members, I found that very few of them, exception, would be a person who would have got promoted from below to the next level. Whenever there was a vacancy, the company would go out and hire from outside. I think over the last 2 years, we have systematically promoted people from frontliners to branched positions. And that is signaling, that's a very strong signal which has gone out into the system, that if you perform well, then you can grow in Orient Bell rather than just having to look for a new employer, a new job to grow. That's the second thing. Third, I think we are focusing on adding value to our employees. How we are doing it? Through training. We have an effective training program. Last 3 months, it has really picked up because we have migrated it totally to online training program with online capability tests for our teams. Then sessions with them, telling them where they scored well, where they need to improve. We have product trainings. We have trainings on digital tools, all being delivered online. I think over the last 100 days, we have trained about 550 odd people, which includes about 300 people in our manufacturing lines also, through online training. With sales and marketing, the manufacturing guys have done training on tools like Kaizen, tools like safety tools, ink, different types of inks and glazes, raw materials, gears, a whole lot of it. So, there's a huge focus for the management about enabling training at scale, which is something which we have got it right in the last 100 years, which is adding value to our last, but I think the most important is the Orient Bell culture. We have tried to model our policies and systems on the best multinationals. And this is something which has historically been there, not the last 2 years. Very simple things, but they do not, I'm mentioning it because they do not normally happen in the tile industry. Not every manufacturer in the tile industry does that. Our salary payouts, our reimbursements, our medical insurance policies, and stuff like that are at par with any big multinational outside of the building and construction industry also. So that has historically given us a lot of traction, and now with the kind of training and enabling that we are doing with our and focus on internal promotion that we are doing, I think our people are happy. Lot more needs to be done. I'm sure a lot more needs to be done, but we are on the right track.
So, with so many initiatives going on the technology front, on the HR front, on the retail front, product development front, all that you told me about, would you also like to share some kind of long-term targets you have set for the company in terms of, say, size or revenues or capacities?
So Deepak, man proposes, God disposes.
That we are seeing. Aren't we seeing that?
Especially in today's time.
Yes.
I don't think this is the right time to actually talk about long-term targets. If you were having this chat of 3 months, 6 months earlier, I would have shared something with you. But not now. I think today's it's important today, critical today, that we come out of this bad phase as a company and as an industry. Keep our cash flows intact, keep our employees and our channel partners safe. Just for example, I'll tell you, we were, I think, the first company. We have ensured, we have provided coronavirus insurance policies to a large number of our channel partners.
Okay.
Saying that you're opening up your shops now, all public will walk through. Nobody knows who is carrying the infection. If somebody gets infected, then here's a policy which the company is providing for the channel partners. So these are the small, thoughtful gestures which Oriental is known for making for its employees and channel partners. Only yesterday, actually, I'll share, we have our Mediclaim policy for our employees has been negotiated. New policy is being signed, and we have increased by almost 50% the insurance cover for our employees. And this is something which the company pays for. The employees don't pay for it.
Well, it's been wonderful talking to you about Oriental and winds of professionalism that are flowing through the pillars of the company. And we hope that going forward, the company and all your team members have a great future.
Same here, and all the best to you and your whole team, which is putting together this show. And I know as a business, you would also be facing a lot of challenges during this time. And I just hope that your team stays safe and you guys also come out of it with a bigger and better than what you are doing. So all the best.
Thank you.
To all the viewers out there, stay safe, do well. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Deepak.